Well, welcome to this new lecture. The defect of witchcraft. Well, unfortunately, nowadays in our planet Earth, this is a common practice, more than we think or even more than we believe. Right? Remember that in everything, when we talk about magic, there is always a duality. And each one of us have the will to choose white magic or black magic. It's our decision. And it depends on the yearn we have inside. If from the bottom of our hearts, we seriously, and specifically our own inner being, wants to achieve the self-realization, we are going to choose white magic. The authentic processes of esotericism, sexual alchemy, kundalini, to achieve our own authentic freedom. But it's necessary to learn to respect people that choose black magic. Alright? They will develop their own satanic tale called Kundartiguador. And all those people that seriously want to achieve their own self-realization, the authentic freedom, they will awake the Kundalini, sexual energy correctly transmuted, going all the way up through the dorsal spine. And when we talk about Kundartiguador, we are talking about sexual energy going to our own atomic hells, right? To make it bigger and stronger. This way, for men and women, they will become demons, black magicians, wizards, witches, alright? But for all those that seriously want to purify themselves with correct and objective procedures, they will create, thanks to their own Kundalini, sexual energy transmuted, going all the way up through the dorsal spine. They will create their own inner bodies to purify themselves. Right? When we talk about authentic magic, we are talking at the same time about sex. Sex and magic have an authentic and intimate relationship. They are absolutely associated. Yes, when we talk authentic witchcraft or authentic divine hierarchies, authentic spiritual masters. Right? Now, all of us without exception carry inside the defect of witchcraft. All of us without exception. In any one of our previous human existences, we've created, well, thanks to our own ignorance, this type of psychological defects. No. It's our own responsibility to release ourselves of all these inner psychological defects. And that's absolutely possible if we learn to practice psychological death and sexual alchemy. Right? There are three different types of tantrism. Talking about sex is also talking about tantrism. Three different types of sex. White tantrism. When we talk about white tantrism, which is the one we are sharing or knowing during all this cycle of lectures, we want to awake our own Kundalini. It means transmutation of our sexual creative energy with a person only of the opposite sex. This is only possible, white tantrism, to enter into the secret path, the path of the esotericism that leads us to the self-realization. It's only possible between a man and a woman, that's all. With a person of the opposite sex, knowing how is the process and practicing it, it's possible to awake our own Kundalini, to create our own inner bodies, to have real representation in the higher dimensions of nature. Alright? Sexual connection between phallus and the yoni, penis and vagina, without ejaculation, without orgasm, without fornication. Working sexually this way is possible to become ourselves in authentic spiritual masters, literally, in authentic divine hierarchies. Now, the other type of sex. Great tantrism. When we talk about great tantrism, we here only talk about pleasure. Alright? When we talk about pleasure, talking about great tantrism is the way we are practicing sex nowadays. Reaching orgasms, ejaculations, excuse me, yes, only looking for pleasure and that's all. Oral sex, anal sex, twice sexual intercourses per day, 3 times, 4 times, masturbation, and so on. That type of tantrism, which means sexual practice is the meaning of tantrism. This type of tantrism, the gray one, only searches for pleasure, orgasms, ejaculation in the different varieties it has. Alright? This is the one in which we are, the majority of our mankind is currently. Now, the third type of sex is called black tantrism. And when we talk about black tantrism, it's talking about infrasex related with some specific rituals. black masses. And when we talk about infrasexual practices related, mixed with some satanic rituals, we talk about homosexualism, lesbianism, threesomes, orgies, oral sex, anal sex, masturbation, etc., etc., etc. Right? That's what black tantrism is. Specific satanic rituals related and mixed with infrasexual practices that are common, infallible, are very common nowadays, are the way to awake the Kundertigwador, this satanic tale that goes immediately to our own atomic hells. Right? This type of sexual energy developing the Kundertigwador transforms the person into a witch or a wizard, a black magician, a satanic person, literally. It depends on the free will of each one of us. It's up to us. Right? We are going to analyze today during the rest of this lecture what are the consequences, the facts, the actions of all those that dedicate the rest of their lives to witchcraft, sorcery. Right? That's why we may affirm today here in this lecture that knowing this lecture, knowing this information, all these teachings, we may become in angels or demons, literally, and more than angels, in archangels, literally, if we continue with the path of sexual alchemy. But if any one of us, any one of you, prefers to continue with the path of black tantrism, well, that's your decision, that's your free will. But obviously, each one of us assume the consequences of our choices. Alright, let's continue. Now, how do we know a black magician? How do we know a black magician? A witch, an authentic witch. A person that belongs to the Black Lodge. Well, black magicians, female or male black magicians, they only want to spill the sexual creative energy. only like to spin the sexual creative energy, and in fact they do it like that. With the Kundar Tiguador, that satanic tail, in their own astral world, in their molecular world, developing this satanic tail, they awake some satanic powers. Alright? Due to the inverted fire called Kundar Tiguador. The existence of this inverted fire gives to them the possibility of awakening some satanic powers to control, to govern the rest of the mankind without respecting their free will. An authentic black magician doesn't respect others' free will. That person always tries to control, to govern others' psyches, others' minds. Alright? When we talk about the highest law of the universe, which is love, we learn to make love with sexual alchemy. And with sexual alchemy, we release the other person to help her or to help him, in the case of women, to achieve his or her own self-realization, his or her own authentic freedom. But authentic black magicians, authentic witches, they only want to control, to disrespect others' free will. No matter what, they do it that way. They don't respect others' free will. Right? With black tantrism, are formed demons. If a person works with black tantrism, rituals that go with oral sex, anal sex, threesomes, homosexualism, lesbianism, etc., they will become in demons, for sure. Orgies, well, a lot of different unsayable practices. All the powers that they awake, all those satanic powers, are for the service of the ego. Alright? All those satanic powers work for the ego. So an authentic witch or wizard has inside a lot of resentments, hates, desire of revenge, fears, gluttony, greed, lust, etc., etc., etc. But if with the psychological depth we delete, with the help of our own divine mother, all those rancors, fears, traumas, envies, worries, greeds, gluttonies, lusts, etc., 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 will respect others' free will with authentic love, and we are going to use all those powers, because Kundalini also gives us powers, but only for helping others' lives, only to service the rest of the mankind literally, respecting always their free will. Right? And for sure, based on this previous detail or point, an authentic black magician never delete the ego. Never. They are not interested in it. All those authentic esotericists, main thing for them, to use in a wise way all those divine powers, faculties, virtues, etc., 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 the first condition for them to use them wisely is the elimination of all their psychological defects without exception, without justifications, without excuses. Through the elimination of the ego, it's possible to purify the sexual practice in order to make love authentically. And they become themselves in authentic divine hierarchies. Because the first condition for all those authentic divine hierarchies is to delete the cause of sufferings, not only in our planet Earth, but in our whole lives. If we seriously and honestly and from the bottom of our hearts want to deserve the authentic happiness, is in absence of the ego that we are going to experience the authentic love, to be permanent connected to the highest law of the universe. Yes, the law of love. Do you think that ego is love? No, you're wrong. Excuse me. Ego is suffering. Ego is pleasure. Ego is traumas, tragedies, instinct, hate, excuses, justifications, subjective theories. If gradually, little by little, we want to transform our psyches, our minds, ourselves, it's necessary to delete all our ego without exception, without excuses, without justifications, to gradually feel what is it. Grain by grain, little by little, it's possible. Yes, an authentic black magician, an authentic witch, they never delete the ego. They find all type of excuses, of justifications, of theories in the universities, in the schools, in the books, in everywhere, in everything, to never let us delete our own ego. By deleting the ego is something more than possible to experience what is love. All those authentic black magicians, they govern They control the lower dimensions of the universe. In fact, they control and they may govern third, fourth, and fifth dimension of the universe. Right there in the zone of dreams, in that fifth dimension, in that molecular astral world, they do exist over there. But those are lower dimensions. More people, more than we think nowadays here in this physical world, they're demons. They're authentic witches or wizards or black magicians, which is the same. And all of them belong to the Black Lodge. And right there, in the fourth and into the fifth dimension, they do exist as well. That's why it's necessary to learn to protect ourselves, because any person that seriously or gradually enters in the process of the secret path, in the path of the self-realization, necessarily should learn to protect himself or herself. Also, they enter to a specific ranking. Excuse me, I erase this information. They enter to be ranked in the ranking of the 13 grades of Anagarikas. The worst black magicians, the worst witches, the worst wizards, they belong to the 13th grade. The soft ones belong to the first grades of the ranking. So the heaviest black magicians, the worst ones, control and govern the rest of the partners, the rest of their classmates, the rest of the grades of black magicians, of authentic witches. There are some politicians, some singers, some actors that belong to this grade, the worst grade in sorcery, the worst grade of witchcraft. The ones of grade 1, grade 3, yes, they can go deeper through the contamination of their own sexual creative energy. And if they fulfill with some infrasexual practices, they become, their sexual creative energy becomes darker and darker and darker. And gradually they deserve to go deeper into worse levels in this ranking of Anagarikas. Okay? Anagarikas. They are the Black Lodge of our planet Earth. In fact, they are controlling this pandemic. They are controlling this pandemic. All black magicians are controlling our current pandemic. all those vaccines come from the Black Lodge. All those vaccines, without exception, are poison for our spiritual advance. Don't get vaccinated. Excuse me for telling you this. Don't get vaccinated. That is poison against your own inner being, against your sexual creative energy. Right? That's why we affirm always here that it's important to analyze all the current situations we're living worldwide. Yes, for instance, this pandemic is a plan of the Black Lodge, of all those authentic black magicians. It's a conscious work of witchcraft in our planet Earth. Yes, current vaccines are poison against your inner being, your spiritual advance. No matter what, try to don't get vaccinated. They kill people using black magic, for example. Right? They kill people using elementals and animals, for example. Different types of elementals and animals. They control them, they govern them to kill, to murder others. They also teach to develop hate against others. Because yes, hate is the opposite force to love. They develop hate for others. They feed hate. Some other details about witches, wizards, etc., etc. They don't respect divine law. They don't respect divine laws. They use pendulums, crystals, right? Some specific, how can I tell you this, liquors, to control people. Right? They advise, for example, masturbation, oral anal sex, threesomes. They practice orgies. They link others, for example, with blood, with semen. Right? They don't teach psychological death, the elimination of the ego. They are not agree with it. They don't teach the elimination of the psychological defects. Remember, sex is something sacred for divine hierarchies, for authentic white magicians, authentic spiritual masters, authentic alchemists, authentic esotericists. Sex is something sacred. For us is something pleasure and to have fun, and that's all. They don't teach the elimination of the ego. They don't teach sexual alchemy. They don't share the knowledge. They know how to do it. Yes, they do know the practice of sexual alchemy, of the transmutation of the sexual creative energy. But they don't teach you that. Because they do know that if you practice sexual alchemy, you'll govern them. You'll release yourself. You know internally who they are. They don't want to enter in harmony with nature, for example. So, they don't respect laws of nature. They don't respect laws of nature. They destroy nature. They only like to develop intellectualism, intellectual ideas, more theories, and that's all. They only like to develop the intellectual part. Instead of developing the powers of the heart. They work for money, for example. They work for money. They work for fame. They work for pleasure. Yes, they follow pleasure only. Etc., etc., etc. They say publicly that they are saints, that they are already authentic masters, for example, good people. So they consider themselves publicly authentic spiritual masters, saints. An authentic master never said that to us or to anyone. Never. They are authentic, humble people. They are very simple people. They do practice hypnotism as well. That's a common practice. A common practice in black magicians. Hypnotism. And all of us, yes, without exception, in fact, are hypnotized by our own ego, by their works, for example. They invoke demons. They invoke entities. For example, they make works, obviously, of black magic. Right? Main places where they practice witchcraft. All these groups of black magic. Places to practice witchcraft. Cemeteries, churches, believe it or not. Some hotels, dating houses, right? Some apparent temples to pray, temples to apparently pray. Right? These are the main places where they work and where they do their works of witchcraft. They work in an occult way. Right? Powers. What are their powers? Well, levitation. They may levitate. Genus state. Genus states. Genus states is to carry their own physical body to the fourth dimension of the universe. Alright? So they may disappear at any moment of this third world, this physical world, and immediately they go into the fourth dimension. That's another power they do have. Alright? Also, they may achieve astral unfolding. Incredible but true. Not only white, authentic white magicians, authentic spiritual masters, not only they do it, also black magicians, witches, wizards, they do astral unfoldings. They work with telepathy. For example, they do have telepathy. Right? They do have, for example, magic ear. And the magic ear is only for the lower dimensions. Only for lower dimensions of the universe. Right? Because they cannot hear angels, archangels, thrones, divine hierarchies, etc., etc. They only hear demons, entities, and all those belong to the lower dimensions of the universe. They do develop the magic ear. Also, authentic divine hierarchies, authentic spiritual masters, the ones that already awoke their kundalini, they have developed their own magic ear, but working for the skies, working for the heavens, for being in contact with angels, archangels, authentic goddesses and gods. Literally. That's why we should learn to respect free will, others' free will, because incredible but true, millions of people currently in our planet Earth prefer to develop these powers to work with the Black Lodge, to become themselves in demons or witches, entities, etc., etc., etc. Alright? What do they offer you? What do witches or wizards offer you? Their offers. Well, for sure, they offer you a lot of money if you want. Obviously, if you want to get money, fame, revenges, powers, prestige, seduction, domination of people, for example, control of people. If you want to control anyone, control of people, in return, you must sell your soul. If you sell them your soul, they give you in return a lot of money. And when I say to you a lot of money, is billions and trillions of dollars, or even euros, literally. If you want fame, perfect, there is no inconvenience, but in return, you must give them your soul. Literally. Singers, actors, politicians, owners of social networks, etc., etc., they already sold their souls to them, believe it or not. Okay, you want good luck? To win any lottery? Perfect. They do know the numbers, the winner numbers, for sure. They may tell you the winner numbers of the lottery, of any lottery, but in return, in change, you have to. It is not if you want or not. You must give your soul to them, literally. Yes. Your S-O-L, your S-O-U-L is only for them, for the rest of the eternity, for the rest of your eternal life. Your soul is not yours anymore. But then, all around the world, there are many people that already preferred to give their souls to them if in return they have all these different things. What do we seriously prefer in our lives? The authentic freedom to be connected to the highest law of the universe, which is love, to get, to deserve, to achieve our own authentic freedom, or only these things? Okay? It depends on us. It's up to us. Right? Their obsession is a human physical body. To possess sexually a human physical body is their obsession, because with the possession of a human physical body, they may achieve the worst grades of Black Lodge. They rank themselves into the worst and worst levels of sorcery, of witchcraft. Their obsession is the possession of a human physical body, to have sex as much as they can, as soon as possible. Yes, in sex, we may govern others' lives without respect, without respecting others' free will, or we may achieve our own self-realization and help others to get theirs. To get, to find, to search their own self-realization. It's up to us. It depends on our own yearns. Well, thank you very much for attending this lecture again. And if there is any question or any doubt about it, please let me know. And as soon as I can, I will respond to you. Thanks. Bye.